Hi, Betty.
Hi, Don. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Randy, how you doing? Well,
You're very important to us.
and that's why we're doing this video, which we would not normally do for anybody else,
That's right.
but because we love you and we love Rand and we love Beverly, we thought we would suffer through this.
And make you suffer through this.
Yes.
I met Beverly and you actually, but I met Beverly the first year at Long Beach City College. And she
That was what, 2 years ago?
She was one of the best parts of going to City College. We were very active, both of us, in the women's government part of the school, and we were in Kasai, we were in Entre Nous, and she was always so adorable. I loved her. And I can't do this really. I can see I'm not going to be able to do this.
Anyway, we have known Beverly and Randy for a long time. We were a young married couple. Betty knew Beverly even before that we got married, and we had children about the same ages, and
Hi.
children about the same ages. That was Lori, who's holding the camera, and I wanted to mention a time that is typical of a reaction Beverly might have had. We had a neighbor that had a garage sale, and this neighbor had a permanent machine, which was a big floor stand with a chrome dome that was bigger than a big lamp.
What,
shade.
circa the
And
1800s?
it was chrome. It was probably a 1950s vintage permanent machine. It had this dome with wires, curly wires hanging down, maybe 50 wires. That was a torture machine that women sat
It looked
under.
like a torture machine.
And would hook these up to their hair to make it curlier. Well, Beverly was walking up to the house and she saw that, and it was so excited she started running toward it, and she said, "Randy's going to kill me, but I'm going to buy this." And much to your credit, Randy, of all the crazy things that Beverly did, you did not kill her. You put up with it, and loved her through the whole ordeal. And there were many situations that were similar to that I think say things about the fun person that Beverly was.
What about that story when you went to their house once right before Christmas?
We went to your house, Randy, when you lived over on, was it Graywood? Over
in Lakewood.
By the Lakewood Mall. We had been to the mall, we were shopping. So on the way home, we thought we'd just stop by and say hi. And when we did, we had Lori with us. She was little, very little, a baby type little. And so Jennifer was a baby too. And Jennifer was crying. She was very fussy that night. And Beverly had, as usual, 5 things going, each one a big deal thing. It wasn't just
major projects.
Yes.
Things that she was doing. Trying to get ready to have company and doing other things.
She was
like
cooking. She was cooking a meal.
She was making herself a coat from scratch from a pattern, and she had her dining room table covered with fabric that she was cutting out and
the
preparing
same
to make
dining
this.
room table that she was going to have the whole family the next day.
Yeah, she was getting ready for a family dinner at
have
that
dinner. And part of that dinner, she had decided to make pumpkin pies. So in the kitchen, I would have gotten a can of pumpkin. You know, I don't make pies, but she had big pumpkins that she had to boil down. And also, she was making sand candles for her class, for students. Sand candles in the kitchen. It was a mess.
What about the Christmas tree part that you
Well,
said?
then there was a Christmas tree, and it was being decorated in the living room. And Beverly had seen someplace that you make a mixture out of soap suds, and there's something you add to it to keep it firm, and you can use it to flock your tree, make it look like there's snow on the tree. And so she had that stuff all mixed up, and the tree partly flocked, and was working on that. So I don't know how she could do that with only 2 hands, making the coat, making a pumpkin pie
and the candles.
and the candles.
And she, and Jennifer, you were a hell that day. I mean, you just kept crying, fussing, crying, you know, you just weren't happy. So I gave Lori to Tom, and I took Jennifer, so he and I are walking around with you two. That was the easy part. We could do that. We couldn't make a coat. We couldn't make a pie.
Okay.
I think
Betty.
it sounds like she made life pretty fun.
She was always fun. She was
Actually,
always fun.
that's how I remember going over to their house in Westminster. I loved going over to have a play date with Jennifer. But I think sometimes I thought I also was having a play date with Beverly too. Because inevitably at her house, on her dining room table, there was a craft set up, there was a science experiment to do, and she always was just fun and involved and always part of bringing all the neighborhood kids over to play. And, you know, everybody could go do all those things in her house. It was always a lot of fun. I was always curious what we were going to get to do when we would get there.
She was always fun. And she was always so sweet. I loved Beverly.
In fact, Betty had not been too well, and Beverly and Randy were out in the area, and they made a side trip because Beverly said she wanted to come over and give Betty a hug.
Well, that was just recently.
That was in October of 2024.
That was a gift.
That was exciting. I heard a knock on the door, opened it up, and there were Beverly and Randy, and Beverly came in with a squeal and went over and gave Betty a hug.
And it
I
was,
just stopped by to hug you. We're not going to stay long.
and they said they couldn't stay long because their dog was home inside the house and he would wet the floor. So they kept saying that, Randy especially, we need to go home. But they stayed and it was wonderful. And I'm so happy.
Okay, I have a question. I just had a memory pop into my head. Is it true that Beverly put on square-shaped something on her feet to make footprints in the girls' rooms to pretend to be the Tooth Fairy?
I don't know. I don't remember
That's
that.
a memory I don't have.
Am I making that up? Well, Randy, you'll have to confirm or not. But that's what I kind of remember.
Turn the camera around so everybody can see who you are.
It's just me, Lori. I don't need to turn it around. I'd be very close. All right, well, that wraps it up for you.
And there's so many things we did. Remember, Randy, when we went to Mexico, the four of us? And we went to, is it Ensenada?
We spent the weekend in Ensenada and had quite an adventure down there. It happened to coincide with the beginning of Lent, and they had what amounted to like a parade through the streets with people dressed in costumes, and
They kept breaking eggs on our
yeah,
heads.
that little
On your heads?
Yeah.
had empty eggshells
With
that had
confetti.
confetti in them.
Oh, okay, that's
And
better.
they were, it was like fireworks on 4th of July, but they were cracking eggs on everybody.
And we ate dinner at a restaurant. I think, did we have turtle soup or turtle something?
Turtle, the Ensenada Cafe.
And that was okay. That was okay. But Tom had a salad, and then he got so deathly sick.
We were all four staying in this
Same room.
one room with 2 double beds, and I'm afraid I was up most of the night being sick.
Which means they were up most of the night too then.
Yes. 'Cause no one. gets
Fortunately,
sick
I'm
like he
very
does.
quiet. When
Yeah, but we had a good weekend. Even with the
we have a lot of good memories,
We do.
and it's nice to be able to share them on this video. You have more to say?
No, just that we love you, Randy,
Yes, indeed.
and we will all see Beverly again, and that makes my heart so.
Happy. She was going to say happy, and that's the right sentiment.